the Vortex Spitfire. Thumbs up. The Vortex Spitfire. This is a 1x Prism Scope. It has lighted reticles, but what I really love about this small little compact scope is that it has an etched reticle as a backup. Now this is designed specifically for the AR-15, and so we're going to take a look at all the features and what this little scope is capable of. And guys, I'll tell you right off the bat, I am very impressed. You know, red dots are great for close quarter, quick target acquisition. And especially on an AR-15 rifle, they're small, they're handy, they're lightweight. And, you know, putting a large optic on there to me kind of defeats part of the purpose and the desirability of the AR-15 platform. Vortex has really come out with some pretty neat red dot scope options. And I've got the Spark, which I really like. And in fact, I just picked up the Spark 2, and I'm going to do a review on it coming up. The Spitfire to me has a lot of advantages over both of those, just in that it has that etched reticle. It weighs 8.7 ounces, it's 4 inches in length, and it's parallax free. So that means you can move your head and still stay on target. The dot will remain on target. You have your elevation and your windage knobs here. Of course, these are screwed off and they're tethered with a steel cable, which I really like that because a lot of times if you have rubberized cables, they can break. Then you have your battery compartment here, and that also has your dial to change the illumination. And here you can see the red, and then on the other side you have green. So you have both capabilities. You have a nice riser, and this will co-witness with your 1/3 backup sights. So you can deploy your backup sights, they'll appear 1/3 into the bottom of the scope, and then you can still see your reticle. This also, the riser is removable, and so you can get this really low mounted on your rifle if you like to run it that way. It features flip up scope covers, and this really just protects the lens, keeps it, you know, from dust, debris. But when you remove the caps, of course you can run it with the caps off. You also have your adjustment here for fine tuning, and especially with red dots, because a lot of times, especially with people's eyes, their eyesight, sometimes you need to refocus your ring here. I know when I'm wearing my reading glasses, it changes completely the reticle. And so this way I can adjust right here with the focus and be able to get on target and really be able to see that fine precision reticle. Now the off button is on both sides. It's the 0 here, and then right here you can also see the other 0. 5 is your top setting for red, and then it moves to 4, 3, 2, and 1. On the green, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as well. So you have a number of settings. You can get that intensity where you want to in bright sunlight, run it up to 5. One of the things I'll tell you is even in bright sunlight, the etched reticle shows up extremely well. And in fact, I was running it both on 5 and with the etched reticle. I really kept it on just the plain reticle more than I did with the illumination. But in nighttime or low light situations, those lighted reticles are going to be really key. Here we have the etched reticle. Here's red, and then here we have it in green. And so even in daylight you're going to be able to pick up both the red and the green. Now in the manual they have a diagram of the reticle, and you have a 3 MOA dot right here in the center. Then you have a 6 MOA ring that goes around that dot, and then a 3 MOA ring that goes around the 6. So it really focuses the eye right to that center dot. There's a 44 MOA here from the top of the inner ring, and 140 MOA from the top of the outer ring. This is in the red, and of course it does go into the green, and also with it completely turned off, the etched reticle will look exactly like this. Now we were just shooting at 50 yards to really sight this in, and this scope's really for 50 to 100 yards. Of course you can get on out past that, but really to get accuracy down, I wanted to demonstrate it at the 50-yard mark. Now I was using the HPR 223 55 grain VMAX, and this was at 50 yards. My first 2-shot group. Brought it down, number 2. And then here is the number 3 group. Now Vortex makes this scope impact resistant, really to take care of recoil, but also for those bumps and drops. And so to really test this optic, after shooting the first initial group, I took it out, dropped it a number of times, bumped it on the bench, and then checked the zero on the rifle to see if the impact was the same.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna shoot the last one.
Check it out. Of course, after the impact, this is the test with the HPR 223 55 grain VMAX at 50 yards. After dropping it a number of times, after beating it on the bench repeatedly, it still held zero extremely well. And these are the easy to see target system. I'll tell you what, I highly recommend this. It's really easy to see and it really just shows up well at the range. Whether you're shooting 50 yards, 100 yards, 200 yards, and even handgun. So this really allows you to get a great sight picture. And of course these are available at easytoseetargets.com. Your battery compartment up top right here. It does have a nice O-ring to seal the battery, and this waterproofs the battery. This is one of the lithium cell CR2032 3-volt batteries. And this will stay for 250 hours on high and 3,000 hours on the low setting. So even if you leave your optic on, it will have a long battery life. And I'm definitely prone to do that. The Illumination Dial is tactile. You can feel it click, but it's quiet. And so it's you're going to be able just to move this around to whatever position you want. The windage and elevation caps unscrew, and again they are tethered. The adjustments are 1 MOA per click, and it's very solid. You can hear it clicking as you turn it. You have up to 120 MOA adjustments, both with the windage and the elevation. The caps go back on very easily. These are also sealed. These are waterproof. They're O-ring sealed, and they keep moisture, dust, and other things out of it. It does have a nitrogen gas purging, so they get rid of all the oxygen that can set up any kind of condensation inside the mount. So that makes them fog-proof and waterproof as well. And these scopes are operational down to 22 below zero and up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So you really have a wide range. These can be used in about any condition. Now mounting the Vortex is really easy. It fits on any Picatinny rail. Right here is your bolt that you just loosen. One of the things I want to warn you about is to make sure that your dial is toward the back and that you have your adjustment ring here, your focus ring, toward you. I'll just tell you, I put this scope on at first when I first got it. I went ahead and just put it on without reading the directions and I mounted this thing backward. So I did a lot of video and a lot of reviewing with it in the wrong position. Now this was my initial accuracy test with the optic on backwards. Now as you can see, I was just getting the scope started and I fired off a few rounds, just continued to fire it, getting used to the reticle, and it held a group pretty good. And then as I continued during the day, here's 3 shots, and then here are 4 shots as I was getting close. Now here's your mounting point to go into any Picatinny rail system. It does have a very solid lockup. You have your stabilizing bar right here, and of course this is pinned down. It's just one screw, but there are 2 washers here, and one of them is a locking washer. When you really close this down, it remains into place. It has a 3.7 inch eye relief, so you want to place it out approximately 4 inches or more from your eye. So go ahead and find the corresponding slot and then just tighten down. You'll feel the tension as you just hand tighten. Vortex recommends that you put this at about 35 pounds of force, so foot-pounds. So you might want to tighten it down hand tight and then take a small wrench and just really tighten it up really nice and snug. You'll also want to make sure that your irons are able to be deployed with the sight. And of course, at this height, it will co-witness 1/3 with the optic. To remove the riser, it has 2 screws right here. You have an Allen wrench supplied, and you also have 2 shorter screws that you're going to need to replace these 2 screws. Just go ahead and twist them off. As you can see, it's a pretty large comparison between the 2. Then your riser just pops right off. Come back in with your lower mount. Then just replace the smaller screws. When applying these screws, it would be good to go ahead and put a little bit of Loctite on here just to solidify this mount. Now we have a much lower profile. Now here it is set at the lower profile. It will still co-witness with your sights, but it is a little bit difficult. It rides a little bit high. So if you're going to be running iron sights, I would definitely recommend going ahead and putting on the riser. I think that really makes it that 1/3 co-witness. You can see your sights with it low like this, and of course you can test it out on your own rifle. But at this point right here, I'm able to actually see the sights through the reticle, but it's right at the top. So I like this being low profile, but I think it might be better to have the riser. But of course that's up to the individual, and that's why they make the riser in the first place. You know, a lot of people will spend $1,000 on a rifle and then buy a $100 scope. And I'll tell you what, guys, buying good optics are important. In fact, really you should spend as much on the optic as you do on the rifle. But of course budget constraints limit that. And Vortex, the line, is excellent. I mean, everything that I've ever tested with Vortex or had any experience with, I really like their optics. And for the money, you just can't beat it. They do make a higher line of regular magnified optics as well. Some really fine optics are coming out of Vortex. Now, one huge plus with the Vortex Spitfire is their VIP lifetime warranty. They cover any malfunctions, damages, defects with the optic, unless it's deliberate or it's stolen. That is one of the best warranties in the industry, especially for electronic optics. Now, the manufacturer's suggested retail price on the Spitfire is $399. At threeriversprecision.com, they have these scopes for $299. One of the things about Three Rivers is they actually sent this scope for the review and for the evaluation. And they're also offering a 10% discount using Suit00 when you check out. So that gives you another $30 off of this scope. To me, that is an incredible deal. You can also get the 3X version of this, and it runs a little bit more, and you can look on threeriversprecision.com to check it out. So go to threeriversprecision.com, get your 10% discount using Suits and the coupon code. Just a great source, a lot of different gear from Three Rivers Precision. And I want to give them a big thank you for sending this and allowing for this review, because I'll tell you what, guys, it's really great to have good quality optics on your rifle, especially if you're depending on it for home defense in whatever the situation is. The Vortex Spitfire, you can spend a lot more money for the same features you're going to get in this scope. Excellent. Guys, BS sells once, but a great product sells over and over again. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. mount this is to make sure, but when you have your, you know, your little, this is a nice little scope. Now mount it about 3 to 4. Now you want to mount it about 4 inches away from your eye. Okay, it's a 3.7 eye relief. Okay,